In level 3, we're going to be doing the same skill that we practiced in level 2. The difference is instead of multiplying a binomial by another binomial, we'll be multiplying our binomials by a trinomial. So something with 2 terms will be multiplied by something with 3 terms. So our box shape is going to change as well. 2 terms and 3 terms means my box needs to have 2 by 3 boxes. So x minus 4 will go out to the side, x and minus 4. And then across the top, we'll have 3x squared minus 2x plus 7. And we'll go ahead and we'll multiply. So the outsides will multiply to be the insides. 1 times 3, because remember there's a 1 in front when we don't see anything. 1 times 3 gives me 3. And x to the first times x squared. 1 plus 2 gives me 3x cubed. Then 3 times negative 4 gives me negative 12. And x squared doesn't have to be multiplied by anything because there's no x here. In our next column, we have 1 times negative 2. That gives me negative 2. And x to the first times another x to the first. 1 plus 1 gives me 2. Negative 2 times negative 4 gives me positive 8. And I don't have an x on the side to multiply by, so x will stay the same. X to the first, and I don't have an x to multiply by, so it'll stay the same. And 7 times 1 is still 7. So 7x is what goes in that box. Then 7 times negative 4 is negative 28. So I have 3x cubed minus 2x squared plus 7x minus 12x squared. Well, I already had an x squared term, so I'll write it underneath that like term, minus 12x squared. X, I already had a like term for it, so 8x. And negative 28 doesn't have a like term, so it goes off on its own. So I'll have negative 28. 7x plus 8x gives me 15x. And remember, when we are adding and subtracting, we don't change our exponents, only the coefficients. Negative 2x squared minus 12x squared gives me negative 14x squared. And the 3x cubed doesn't have anything to combine with, so 3x cubed will come to the bottom. Separate with addition signs where necessary, and we have our solution. Number 2. We have 2 terms by 3 terms, so a 2 by 3 box will be helping us. We'll have 2y and 5. Each term gets its own box. And then y squared, 3y, and negative 8. Each term gets its own box. And it's time to multiply. 2y times y squared. Remember that y here is really y to the first. So 2 times the 1 in front here gives me 2. Y to the first times y to the second. Add those exponents and we get y to the third. 1 times 5 gives me 5 and a y squared. 2 times 3 gives me 6 and I have y to the first times y to the first. 1 plus 1 is 2. 3 times 5 is 15 and I've got a y to the first. Negative 8 times 2, negative 16. And y times nothing, still another y. Negative 8 times 5 is negative 40. Now we'll look for like terms as we start to write the terms that are in the boxes. 2y to the third, 6y squared, negative 16y. Oh, There's our first like term, 5y squared. It's going to go underneath the y squared term. 15y will go underneath our y term. And negative 40 gets its very own. Combine your like terms. Negative 40, negative 16y plus 15y gives me negative 1y. 6y squared plus 5 more y squareds give me 11y squareds. And then 2y cubed doesn't have anything to combine with, so he stays as 2y cubed. Put our addition signs where we need them. Last level 3 example. We have 3 terms multiplied by 2 terms. We can still use the same shape box, or you could make a box that was tall. I did it this way to show you that it really doesn't matter which side you put it on, as long as the number of terms matches how many boxes. So we have 3w squared minus 9w plus 4. And across the side, we have 5w minus 1. We'll multiply now. 5 times 3 is 15. W to the first times W to the second is W to the third. 1 plus 2. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. And W squared doesn't have another W to multiply by, so he stays as W squared. Negative 9 times 5 gives me negative 45. And W to the first times W to the first, we'll add those exponents to get W squared. 1 times negative 9 is negative 9. And W doesn't have another W to combine with, so he'll stay as W to the first. 4 times 5 is 20. And W doesn't have another one to combine with, so he'll stay as W. Negative 1 times 4 is negative 4. And it's time to look for our like terms. 15w to the third minus 45w squared plus 20w. And here's our first like term. Negative 3w squared goes underneath our w squared term. Negative 9w goes underneath the w term. And then negative 4. Let's combine our like terms. Negative 4, negative 9w, and 20w. We can add those together and get 11w. Negative 45w squared minus 3w squared is negative 48w squared. And we'll bring down the first. Separate with addition signs where necessary. And there's level 3.